Yeah, man, him and his family's there. Deion Sanders Jr. is there as well. We're going to play some of the content that he put out via his Instagram page of him making it there. Here's Shedeur arriving. So as you guys can see there, Shedeur Sanders is greeted by a person that works at this hotel. Now, just like I stated, Deion Sanders Jr.
That said, this is embarrassing. Not for him, for the league, for football. Like, this is terrible. This has literally become a participation trophy. I mean, that's what it is. And he's not the first. Remember a few years ago, Tyler Huntley threw 2 touchdowns, had 3 interceptions, and a 77 passer rating, and was a Pro Bowler.
You think I'm worried about what critics say or what people gotta say? You know who my dad is? They hated on him too. So it's like it's almost normal. Without people hating, it's not normal for us. So we like the adversity. We like everything that comes with the name. That's why we are who we are.
Yeah, man. Him and his family's there. Deion Sanders Jr. is there as well. We're gonna play some of the content that he put out via his Instagram page of him making it there should arrive. This isn't just about a Pro Bowl appearance anymore. This is about Shedeur Sanders cementing his legacy as one of the most polarizing and marketable players in the entire league. So don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. This moment isn't random. And if you're really paying attention, you can feel that the second it happens, not because of a stat line, not because of a resume, but because of the visual. A young quarterback stepping into a room most people never thought he'd even see, let alone belong in. Cameras already waiting. People already watching. Energy already different. That's when you know this isn't just another Pro Bowl weekend. This is a statement because moments like this don't just fall out of the sky. They don't happen by accident. The NFL doesn't do accidents on its biggest stages. Everything is calculated. Everything is intentional. And when you see the league lean in like this, when you see the red carpet rolled out early, that's not luck. That's a signal. And look at the reaction. Fans are split right down the middle. Some people are shocked, genuinely shocked, like, how did we get here this fast? Others are already defending it like they saw it coming from a mile away. The media? Completely fractured. One side is trying to downplay it, explain it away, act like it's meaningless. The other side is scrambling to reframe the narrative in real time because the old takes don't fit anymore. That's when you know something shifted. Because this doesn't feel like a normal Pro Bowl. It doesn't feel quiet. It doesn't feel routine. It feels loud. It feels watched. It feels debated. And that's the key. The Pro Bowl hasn't mattered like this in years, until now. Until someone showed up who forced people to care again. Forced people to argue. Forced people to pick sides. And let's be honest, fans didn't wait to be told how to feel. The second those clips hit, the reaction was instant. People already knew which side they were on. Either you saw this as overdue respect, or you saw it as a problem. There was no middle ground. And that's exactly why it matters. Because this doesn't feel gifted. It doesn't feel like charity. It feels earned in a different way, not through perfect numbers or flawless seasons, but through relevance, through impact, through the ability to pull attention without asking for it. That's a currency in today's NFL, whether people want to admit it or not. The league doesn't roll out red carpets for players it doesn't believe in. It doesn't spotlight guys it expects to fade away. It invests where it sees future value faces, voices, names that are going to carry conversations for years. And when you see that investment this early, you should pause. This isn't luck. This isn't hype. This is positioning. Positioning for what comes next. Positioning for the next chapter. Positioning for a league that cares just as much about who moves the needle as who fills the stat sheet. So yeah, people can argue about whether this moment should exist. They can debate how it happened. They can try to rewrite the rules after the fact. But the moment is already here. The statement has already been made. Which leads to the real question, the one nobody can dodge anymore. How did we even get here? He went from overlooked to unavoidable faster than anyone wants to admit. Because if we're being honest, this was never supposed to be the story. Not this early, not this loud. Coming into the league, the expectations were clear. Or at least the box people tried to put him in. Late round guy, developmental piece, depth chart body. Someone you talk about in preseason and forget about by October. That was the plan, that was the script. But that's not where we are anymore. Look at the depth chart reality right now. Whether people want to say it out loud or not, he's no longer just there. He's part of the conversation. He's part of the future planning. Every rep, every decision, every coaching move tells you that. Teams don't invest attention in players they don't believe can matter. And right now, the attention is real. The team context matters too. This isn't some perfect ready-made situation. This is an organization still figuring itself out, still searching for stability, still trying to identify who can actually carry them forward. And in that environment, every flash gets magnified, every mistake gets criticized, every success gets debated. That's pressure. That's not comfort. And then there's the media narrative, or should I say narratives, plural, because they can't agree. One side keeps going back to the draft slot like it's a permanent label, like growth stops the day your name is called. The other side sees what's happening in real time and realizes the conversation already moved on. And that's the disconnect. Because fans don't care about draft boards anymore. Fans care about moments. They care about confidence. They care about whether a player feels different when he steps on the field. And when this guy plays, people watch. Clips circulate. Debates start. That's engagement you can't fake. Now, let's acknowledge the uncomfortable stuff, because pretending it doesn't exist is lazy. The numbers weren't perfect. The resume isn't traditional. This wasn't a clean, approved rise where everyone signs off together. There were missed throws, rough stretches, growing pains. All of it is real. But here's what's also real. Visibility matters. Impact matters. And fans decide who matters faster than analysts ever will. We've seen this before. Jalen Hurts wasn't supposed to become what he became either. The league dragged its feet on that one too until it couldn't anymore. That's what this feels like. The league adjusting on the fly, the tone changing in real time. Suddenly, the conversations get careful. Suddenly, the dismissiveness turns into qualifiers. Well, maybe. To be fair, that's how you know someone crossed a line they weren't supposed to cross yet. You don't have to like him. You don't have to agree with the path. You don't even have to believe in the ceiling. But you can't ignore him anymore. That window is closed. And once you're unavoidable, the spotlight gets hotter. The scrutiny gets louder. The criticism gets sharper. And that's exactly where the backlash starts. They're mad. And not the quiet kind of mad, the loud, defensive, can't stop talking about it kind of mad. You hear it everywhere. He didn't deserve it. There were better options. This cheapens the honor. Same phrases, same tone, same frustration. And on the surface, it sounds like a football argument. Like people just care about fairness, about tradition, about protecting what the Pro Bowl used to mean. But that's not what this is really about. Because if it was just about numbers, this wouldn't be new. The Pro Bowl has been bending its own rules for years. Alternates, declines, injury replacements. We've watched guys slide in with average seasons because bigger names sat out and nobody lost sleep over it. Nobody went on rants. Nobody said the game was ruined. So why now? Because the system changed. The league changed. And most importantly, the audience changed. The NFL isn't being run for the same people it was 15 years ago. Attention matters more than approval. Conversation matters more than consensus. And whether people like it or not, this player brings conversation with him everywhere he goes. That's the part that's driving people crazy. There's a double standard here, and it's obvious if you're willing to be honest. When a legacy player gets the benefit of the doubt, it's called experience. When a veteran gets selected off reputation, it's respect. But when a young guy gets attention early, now it's hype. Now it's manufactured. Now it's a problem. They're not mad he's there. They're mad he's early. They're not mad at the honor. They're mad at the timing. Because this wasn't supposed to happen yet. He didn't wait his turn. He didn't stay quiet long enough. He didn't earn approval from the right people first, and that messes with the order. It forces uncomfortable conversations. It forces analysts to explain why their old evaluations don't line up with what fans are seeing right now. And instead of adjusting, some people lash out. You can feel it in the tone, the way criticism turns personal, the way the goalposts keep moving. First, it's stats. Then, it's wins. Then, it's eye test. Then, it's, well, the Pro Bowl doesn't matter anyway. Funny how it only stops mattering when someone unexpected gets in. But here's the truth. Nobody wants to say out loud, this moment didn't come from nowhere. It came from pressure, from scrutiny, from playing under a microscope every single week, from knowing every mistake would be amplified and every success would be questioned. And he didn't fold. He leaned into it. That's why the backlash is so loud, because confidence without permission makes people uncomfortable, because growth without consensus scares people who need the process to look familiar. But pressure? That's not new to him. Pressure didn't break him on the way up. It didn't shake him when the doubts were loudest, and it's not going to scare him now. Because pressure isn't the problem. Pressure is exactly where he thrives. All the noise makes it easy to miss what's actually happening underneath. So let's zoom out for a second, because the real story isn't the argument, it's the investment. Teams don't move the way fans do. They don't react off emotion or Twitter debates. They tell you what they believe through actions, through hires, through structure, through where they spend their time and money. And right now, everything around this situation is telling you the same thing. This isn't favoritism. This is belief. Look at the organizational support. Quietly, steadily, pieces are being put in place. Coaches who understand modern offenses, voices that specialize in quarterback development, systems designed to simplify reads, protect confidence, and let talent grow instead of forcing it to survive. That doesn't happen by accident. That happens when a front office sees something worth committing to. Because here's the truth, a lot of people don't want to accept teams don't restructure around players they don't believe in, they don't change philosophies, they don't tweak staffs, they don't realign priorities just to see what happens. That's not how billion-dollar organizations work. Opportunity follows trust, and trust is earned behind closed doors long before fans ever see it. And pay attention to the locker room optics too. That matters more than people realize. Watch who shows up. Watch who supports publicly. Watch the tone around him. Veterans don't fake respect. Coaches don't fake confidence. When a quarterback walks into a room and the energy doesn't drop, that tells you something. When the spotlight hits and he doesn't shrink, that tells you even more. This is what growth actually looks like in the NFL. It's not linear, it's not clean, it doesn't follow timelines fans draw up in August. It happens in phases. Flashes first, then trust, then responsibility. And somewhere in between, the narrative catches up. That's where we are right now. The chaos already happened, the arguments already happened, the skepticism already peaked. What comes next is calmer but heavier. This is the part where expectations quietly rise, where mistakes matter more, where success gets magnified. Because once a team starts building around you, the grace period shrinks. And that's okay. That's how you know it's real. This moment isn't the peak, it's the checkpoint. The league isn't crowning anyone yet, it's watching, measuring, seeing how he handles attention, pressure, responsibility, seeing if the growth keeps pace with the spotlight. And the scary part for critics? He's already proven he doesn't fold when things get loud. He settles in, he adjusts, he leans forward. That's why this feels different now. The noise is fading, and what's left is structure, vision, a longer runway than people expected. Because the next step isn't about proving you belong anymore. The next step is where legacies actually form. This is where careers turn, not when the stats look perfect, not when everyone agrees, but when a moment locks itself into memory. Years from now, nobody's going to replay the arguments. Nobody's going to remember the hot takes or the think pieces or the timelines debating whether it counted. That stuff fades fast. What sticks are snapshots, labels, firsts. And this right here, this is the kind of moment that gets simplified into a sentence. He was already there. That's when it started. That's when you knew. That's how the NFL remembers things. Not with context, with shortcuts. A Pro Bowl appearance becomes a line on a resume. A weekend becomes a marker. And once a marker is placed, you don't get to erase it. You can argue around it, but it's still there. That's why this matters more than people realize. Because moments like this get reframed over time. What feels controversial today becomes obvious tomorrow. What feels early turns into ahead of schedule. We've seen it happen before. Guys get doubted, questioned, labeled as hype. And then 5 years later, the same people say, yeah, the signs were always there. This is one of those signs. This won't be remembered as a footnote. It's going to be referenced. Quietly at first, then more often. Analysts will pull it out when the trajectory becomes clear. Fans will point back to it and say, that's when it shifted. And whether people like it or not, this will be reframed as the beginning of something, not the exception. Because turning points don't always look dramatic in the moment. Sometimes they look awkward, debated, uncomfortable. That's usually how you know they're real. This is where belief starts to separate people. Some wait until everything feels safe, until success is undeniable, until the league gives permission. Others recognize momentum when they see it. They believe early. They ride the wave. They understand that growth doesn't ask for approval. And yeah, there's risk in that, there always is. But there's also something powerful about seeing something before it's consensus, about backing a player before the narrative catches up, about trusting what your eyes and instincts are telling you instead of waiting for permission from the loudest voices. Ignore the noise. It's temporary. The labels are permanent. This moment happened. It's real. It's on the record. And no matter how loud the criticism gets, nobody can rewind it. Nobody can take it away. It's part of the story now, whether people like the chapter or not. So believe early or don't. Ride the wave or stand on the sidelines arguing about whether it should exist. Just understand this. Moments like this don't happen to everyone. And when they do, you pay attention.